Well, good morning. Thank you all very much for joining us for an incredibly significant milestone in my life and my family's life. Come on over here, boys. I'll introduce to you our youngest son, Max. He's 8 years old, lives at goes to school at Aux Sable Public Schools in Minooka. And Luke is 11 years old, and he's in the 5th grade at Aux Sable Public Schools. My family means my life to me, and my family is a major part of why I'm running for Congress in District 11. So, thank you guys. I've thoroughly enjoyed my career at Caterpillar. During the past 20 years, I've been entrusted with many different positions, including HR management, logistics management, manufacturing management, and most recently, purchasing management. I proudly served on the Minooka High School Board, and I enjoy serving on the Grundy County Board, where I'm currently in my 2nd term. My objective for the next few minutes is to tell you why I'm asking for the voters' permission to be their congressman for District 11. I believe that we are truly reaping the benefits of the founding fathers that established this great nation 237 years ago. I owe a great deal of gratitude to all the men and women who have proudly served in the footsteps to preserve our freedom and to protect our country. As a matter of fact, I owe them my life. The events in Syria and the conversations that have followed show how volatile the world is, and the fear that the United States is becoming weaker and unable to respond to security threats is becoming more of a reality every day. Recently, Luke and I were looking at the debt clock on the computer screen and talking about what it means to owe money. He asked me, well, when will the numbers on this debt clock stop going up and start going down, Dad? Well, it's a simple question, and it really deserves a simple answer that at the moment I didn't have for him. Millions of Americans balance their budget on an annual and a monthly basis. They modify the amount that they spend to save and match their income, ensuring that the numbers balance at the end of the day. It's a concept that many nations have followed for thousands of years. For those that did not match the numbers, the end was never good. Right now we can look at the world and see living examples of countries that are further down the debt spiral than we are. The result is chaos in the financial systems, uncertainty among the people, and a nation that is always at risk. It's a fact that the United States continues to get weaker by the day as the number on the debt clock races up for us. I've had multiple small business owners filing as S corporations, individuals, tell me that their collective federal, state, and local income tax rate is over 50%. When is the rate going to stop going up? One owner asked me recently just here in Illinois. 2 weeks ago, a CEO of a large company reminded me that the statutory federal corporate rate is over 38%, which makes us the most expensive place on the planet to do business. And on October 1st, just 21 days from now, millions of Americans will begin suffering the consequences of enrolling in their WMHPs. That's Washington-mandated health care plans. While we still arguably have the best healthcare system in the world, the cost structure that's being implemented around it causes a competitive edge, which is the very nature that made it competitive and the best in the first place, to melt away. Left untouched, we are on the road to a single-payer bureaucracy that will be nothing short of a nightmare for those who will need the healthcare the most. Just last Friday, the jobs report showed that the last time this much of America's labor force had dropped out of the desire to find good jobs and had dropped off the radar was in 1978 during the Carter years. A recent Rasmussen report states that while over half of Americans still hold a very favorable opinion of those who start and manage in their businesses, just 2% of us in America hold a favorable view of Congress. Leaders that we're supposed to look up to, leaders that the founding fathers created in the first place to govern our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm walking into a hornet's nest and I cannot wait to get there. Entrepreneurs and small business owners like John rate the highest in our minds because they fuel the domestic product engine. Members of Congress at the other end are at the other end of the scale because we know they're the ones that are keeping the economic engine idling. It does not have to be this way, and I will not let us spiral down to destruction with no leadership in sight. I owe it to Luke, to Max, to all of your children, and to all of us as a nation to resolve this crisis using my God-given strengths of leadership. That's why I'm setting my career aside, going to work for the people of District 11. I want to drive the change that we know must be made if we're going to preserve this nation here on earth. We're still the leaders of the compassion in the world. We come to the aid every time a natural disaster occurs. We care about others, and we need to start caring about the future of America. Let's start by changing out the elected officials who are supposed to be held accountable, who are not doing their jobs. Few people dispute that there's a huge amount of pent-up cash on the sidelines, especially since the downturn in 2008. It's not being invested in America because small business owners and large companies are unwilling to take the risks that our economic climate is currently riddled with. We have so much untapped potential and creativity in this nation just waiting to be unleashed. The bottom line is that we have the courage to reduce the debt, the courage to reduce the tax rate, to eliminate the WMHPs. We will bring certainty back into the equation, and we will allow investment to incur. If we stop spending more than we were taking in, reducing the tax rates, and small and large businesses will become competitive. They'll invest right here in District 11, and the result is more jobs like this. John's company and thousands of others like his businesses throughout the 50 states generate the growth in America's job engine. If you talk to John and put yourself in his shoes, you see the uncertainty that he and most other business owners struggle with on a daily basis because of the vacuum of this leadership. Specifically, Superior Asphalt and the parent company, as John mentioned, Geneva Construction, have built infrastructure in America for the past 80 years. Our interstate system was started in the 1950s, and there's many parts of it that have not been updated since. John can tell you about wooden water mains that are still in use. Water mains made out of wood. If this was 1913, that would be okay. But it's 2013, and it's completely unacceptable to let the infrastructure deteriorate like that. I will not give up on the infrastructure of our nation. It's one of the keys to our future. The number one priority of the federal government is the security of our nation, and infrastructure is right behind it. We're failing by falling further behind in both of these areas, yet the debt clock races up as social workers are actually rewarded as they enroll the most amount of citizens into the latest food stamp program. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a matter of courage. Courage to rise up, to bring the sides together, and to drive results. We can do it, and I'm going to lead the way to get it done. Almost all parties agree that the new laws of Obamacare are unsustainable. You can interview folks on both sides, and you get a common answer. With the exception, perhaps, of one individual in the White House that maybe isn't convinced yet. We need a 2-page bill, not a 2,000-page bill, which introduces competition among healthcare workers and across state lines, allowing the country to prioritize and allow the competition that you see in all other types of insurance realms. If we do not do this, we will continue the slippery slope towards a single-payer system, which no doubt is disastrous. It doesn't take many other countries' viewpoint on that to see the result. We need to incentivize employers to hire full-time people, not cause them to reduce the hours of existing personnel, which the current healthcare crisis is causing. I want to go to Congress, I want to roll up my sleeves, and I want to get to work. I want to partner with all of my elected colleagues to carve a path for a balanced budget and to begin paying down the debt. What a wonderful day it will be to have Luke and Max see that the numbers on the clock have actually stopped going up and they're starting to go down. Some say that you have to be in the majority to accomplish a goal. Well, I can tell you that if I had waited till I was in the majority for every decision that I made at Caterpillar, I wouldn't have gotten much done over the last 20 years. For the folks that wave the white flag and say, I'm not in the majority of a political party and therefore I can't get traction, is weak. It's weak, and it's not what the founding fathers and so many individuals had given their lives for since to make this country great. And it's not a position that we can hold on to today. I've led departments and groups of people around the world and given results, not just promises, but results. I led and delivered results when I was elected on the Manuka High School board. I continue to lead and deliver results to the people of Grundy County as a member of the county board. The voters told me they didn't want lavish health care plans for those individuals that were part-time board members, and they didn't want extra perks that caused them to spend more money. I demonstrated the leadership and I delivered results by partnering with other board members across the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, and we got it done. We eliminated the perks and we delivered on the promise that I was put in office to do. And now I'm prepared to lead and deliver the results for the people of District 11. I could have announced this campaign on the steps of City Hall or in front of a municipal building. It would have been a little cooler perhaps, and it would have been a less smelly, but it would not have articulated the heart and soul of America and what we were built on. That's the reason I'm announcing here. We need another thousands of these businesses across the country to fuel the economic engine. A friend of mine that works in another country recently told me how excited he was to break ground on a new manufacturing facility. He had enthusiasm in his voice, as anybody would who was managing a project, as he described all the work that was progressing. I tried to recall after that conversation how many times I've had conversations like that with business owners in this area, and the sad fact is not very many. But friends, that can change. All it takes is courage. Again, I say courage to roll up our sleeves and to get to work with both sides of the political aisle to deliver results. We have an opportunity to see a jobs explosion in the next years that will dwarf the manufacturing boom that we saw over 50 years ago. But only if we have the courage. Working together does not mean allowing individuals on the right or the left to enjoy the microphone and heap insults on the other side. It means congratulating whoever developed the best language for a bill, for that 2-page bill I talked about, not the 2,000-page bill. Or it means celebrating the success of a bipartisan group that streamlined the process to make it more efficient so that all the taxpayers benefit. And believe me, we need laser focus on regulation reduction within the federal government. Recently, the Illinois Policy Institute raised the transparency score of the Grundy County website by over 70%. We went from being 90th out of 102 counties in lack of transparency to being 15th out of 102 counties in demonstrating the amount of available data that was on the web. Do you know how we got this done? It was the result of leaders and elected officials on both sides of the aisle and employees inside the county partnering together and deciding that yes, it is good for voters to see the transparency of a county. Men and women, it's amazing what we can accomplish when we rally together and create a solution, but not care who gets the credit. This is the type of teamwork we need in Washington along the way, and this is the type of teamwork that I'm going to create and deliver. With your help, I can become your next congressman. And with your help, we can transform this great nation to ensure that the country Luke and Max and Art and the rest of your children inherit is still the greatest nation on the earth. Help me lead this charge to get America back on track so that we can soar. Help me create the path so that the next 100 and 200 years are better than the last 200 years. As a District 11 representative, I will be responsive to the community needs. I will deliver the results that are so badly needed. We can and we will make this happen together. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for coming out today on an extremely hot day, but an extremely exciting day as we start the journey towards the America that we all know is possible. Please give me the permission to work for District 11 voters. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it.